Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the Rainbow Crossing podcast, a podcast where Gen X and Gen Z discuss life's challenges and how we face them as queer people. We have these open conversations to foster a sense of community through different perspectives. My name is Julio Guzman, and this is my papa.
Your what?
My grandpa.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
My JK, this is my roommate. My roommate is?
Daniel. Julio, how are you?
I'm doing good. A little tired from the day. I started my day early today at like 5:30 a.m.
You were up early this morning. Early
Was.
for you.
Yeah.
I had a busy day also. I was cleaning. Our temporary roommate moved out yesterday, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, this week's just, the days have
who
been
knows?
going, and I don't know. I've just been waking up.
Yeah. He moved out, and
Yes.
it was an opportunity to get things cleaned up a little bit. And he took his dog with him, much to your
know.
dismay, I'm
It's
sure.
very sad. I've been walking up to the door every single day when I get home to no energy and to a no greeting, and it's the most depressing thing ever. And I just want a puppy.
I'm here when you walk
It's
up to
not
the door.
Same.
Oh.
It's not the same. You're not wagging your tail. You
I
don't have a big
sometimes
smile.
I am, though.
I mostly like walking, and you're like, "What do you want?" Usually.
I'm very excited when you come home.
You are.
There might be a little bit of tail shaking, but no, I know we do miss them a lot.
I do already. I do miss him. Both
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah, it was a fun 6 weeks. A little.
The house is a lot more quiet now.
It's definitely quieter. yeah, which is okay also. Yeah. And it's given me a little time to catch up on the Olympics.
Yes.
I don't know if you've been watching any of the
I've
Olympics.
seen bits here and there, mostly on social media.
Yeah, it's a record year for LGBT out participants.
Nice. That's amazing.
The numbers keeps changing a little bit, but the last number I saw was 195 out participants
In this Olympics.
in the 2024 Paris Olympics, and they've won 22 medals.
Okay.
Right? If you took Team LGBTQ and made them as if they were a USA or Germany or their own nation, they would be at number 6 for medal wins.
Work.
Which is pretty cool. And they have more medal wins combined than any country that has restrictions on gay people.
Oh, wow. Look at the community going.
Yes. Some other fun gay things about this Olympics. Of course, there was a Drag Race France star on the opening ceremonies.
That opening ceremony caused so much controversy.
Yeah, it really did.
When it had nothing to do with Christianity
Right.
and everything to do with Greek history and stories and culture and parts of the Olympics. Like, literally, did they not know how the Olympics were back in the day?
Right.
The pictures, the stories, the drawings. Hello.
Yeah.
They took the frame where it was less people and used that and ran with it, and then more people started coming to the opening ceremony to fill up that space that wasn't referring to the Last Supper.
Yeah. It's
That's how we started. That's how the Olympics started.
Exactly.
So much has gone on since then.
It has gotten better. Gay favorite Tom Daley, diver.
Yes.
British diver. This was his 5th Olympics.
Yeah, when he started, he was a kid.
He was 14 in 2008.
Wow.
Competing in his first Olympics for Great Britain. So
I was 10. Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Can you imagine being at the top of your game at 14?
No.
To the point.
I did see some stats that there's some 11-year-olds competing
That's
this
wild.
year in the Olympics, which is mind-blowing.
Completely mind-blowing.
One of the things that I saw was the boxer being accused of being male. Did you see that?
Right, I did see that. Yeah, it's crazy how people will just jump to these conclusions. No evidence, no facts.
At all.
They have a feeling. I don't know, maybe it's human nature in general, but it seems like right-leaning people often just go with their gut as to, I feel this is a way, so I'm going to argue it.
I don't even think it's their gut that they're going with. Like, it's just a thought that they have and something that's not that important. They're like, this is the one topic that's going to bother me, and I'm going to go off on it.
Yeah.
Which, she's a woman. That boxer is a woman.
And
it's crazy that the Olympics had to release a statement clarifying that she is a biological woman.
And isn't it a shame that she has to go through all of this?
It's so sad. It's honestly depressing, and it goes back to what we always say. It's the world having problems. Well, most people have problems with femininity, but when someone is pursuing the masculine traits that a female has occasionally, that's where men start to feel uncomfortable that this woman could lay me out on the floor.
And she absolutely
and she
could.
would.
and she
and
should.
she would.
Yeah.
If she were to cross somebody like that, yeah, lay them out. In my opinion, personally, they're attacking you. They don't know anything about you. I mean, I would never promote violence, but
No, of course.
when it's something like that in the national scale, it's so rude. It's so mind-boggling that people actually have these thoughts about people and can label somebody just from seeing them when they know nothing about their life.
Right. Well, in other rather big news, I don't know that it's gay news, but a lot of gays are talking about it.
Is it still Olympics?
It's still the Olympics.
Okay.
Did you see the French pole vaulter, Anthony Amirati, I think I'm saying it properly?
No. Did this happen this morning?
Yes. So I'm gonna show you this.
Okay. That's high as for. Oh. Okay. Well, that sucks.
Yeah, a pole vaulter
With a
taken
pole.
down by his pole. Yeah. Yeah, 21-year-old French Anthony, and is becoming very popular on social media.
I'm sure the gays are following.
Yeah. I did look on Instagram. I didn't follow him myself, but I saw I had 7 or 8 friends who had already followed him. So
Within this one day.
and off camera, I'm sure you can guess who a couple of them are.
I probably can.
Yeah. Totally. Oh, speaking of community, I wanted to share this wonderful note that we got this week on our YouTube channel. This individual, Craig Heidel, commented, "Your show is a service to the gay community. I am totally wrapped up in your podcast. I have watched each episode at least twice. There are so many wait, what moments that I have to back it up to listen to what you've said again. I'd love to see you bring in men who are boomers as well. We have a lot to say and a lot to learn. At 65 years old, I was told by my partner he never loved me. That devolved into domestic violence, took my name off the house. Only one signature is needed in Florida, of which he owns half. Now I'm just renting a small room till I get back on my feet. He will sell the house and keep the money I had invested in it as well, $30,000 worth. I will see none of it. I'm not the only one either. Many men are going through the same thing, yet it's rarely or never talked about. Even at this age, we still need guidance as well. Your podcast has shown a light to me at just the right time in my life and is really helping me through. I feel like I have 2 much needed new friends. Thank you so much."
Wow.
I could barely get through the end of that without
I know, I'm like over here getting emotional listening to that.
Yeah.
Number one, I'm so sorry that this is all happening to you. To the guy who commented.
Yeah.
I don't have any experience to talk about all that stuff. I know you might have some more experience that relates to this, but the only thing I can do is feel for you.
Right. Well, as human beings, we should be able to have sympathy. Unfortunately, I have empathy for the situation because I experienced a very similar thing, which we've alluded to a little bit here on the podcast in the past. But this almost exact same thing happened. I was in a relationship of 11 years. The partner came home from a trip to Florida and told me that he didn't love me. And the house, which was only in his name, when he did sell it a few months later, did not feel inclined to share any of the money. And it was definitely a case of where I could have sued for alimony. And we have several friends who are lawyers, and one said, "You have the perfect case to get 50% of everything." It just was something that I didn't want to go down that path because it would have entwined me with this person for the rest of my life, I guess. I wanted him out of my life as quickly as possible. But all of that said, it's heartbreaking to put your heart and soul into a relationship, into loving someone, into caring and supporting someone, and to lose that, just to lose a love is just devastating. But to lose it and to lose your home, to lose money, just to lose your life and to have to start over. I was in my late 30s when I had to start over, and it's frightening. You're scared because you have to start your life over at a point where you never thought you would have to start your life over again. So as someone who has been through that and has is now on the other side of it. I would never want to go through it again, but I will say it was the biggest opportunity for change for me. I was able to grow and evolve as a result of that. I was able to find a peace and a strength in my life that I did not have before. And I don't know where this gentleman is at in his life, but there is the opportunity here for him to really grow and to find a happiness and a peace that maybe he didn't have before.
It's never too late for anything. No matter at what age, you're able to accomplish anything that you want, whether it's a feeling, whether it's a mindset, whether it is something that you want to grow in.
Yeah.
Loving yourself, all of that is doable at any age.
And he may not have wanted this. No. I'm guessing he didn't want
People
it, but sometimes we have to get a push in order to really fully grow and evolve and to see the best in our lives. I required that push. I wasn't going to take the leap myself, but the ex pushed me out. Definitely. And looking back on it, I would never tell him thank you for doing this, but I am very grateful for what I went through because it did change my life for the better.
Yeah.
We don't know this gentleman, but he's my friend now.
Definitely.
And
Both
I know
friends.
If he ever finds himself in Austin, we're going to take him out. We'll have drinks, we'll have dinner. But I will say we also do have a couple of boomers that we intend to bring on the show. And we want as many perspectives as possible.
For sure.
So
only thing I have to say about this is if you are planning on marrying someone or you love them allegedly throughout the years, and you're ending whatever life y'all have had for several years, at least be considerate about giving that person something. Give them something to stay off of their feet, because it's so rude to like just basically kick someone out to the curb and take everything and leave them at nothing.
Yeah.
I come from the bare minimum, and I get it, but I'm going to do those things where if I am marrying someone, which I hope I do someday, that I'm fully prepared to, if this doesn't work out, if the universe makes this not work out for some reason, I'm not a mean person. Here, take whatever you need.
Right.
Like I'm here to help you. Let's just find a way to fix this and manage through it cordially.
yeah, we are here for people like this gentleman. And
we want to hear these things.
We do want to hear these things. This is really why we're doing this. We're trying to foster a sense of community, because there are people who are going through some of the things that you and I have gone through or will be going through all over the country, all over the world. And if we can help someone, if we can be a part of someone's life and just let them know, you're not alone in this. We've gone through it too. We survived. You're going to survive. If we can be a part of that, then we've accomplished it. If it was just this one person, awesome. All of our time was well spent, I believe. And I believe we do have an obligation to our community, our LGBTQ community. And that kind of brings me to where our topic is for today, and that is the original spot for our community where people came together, and that's just gay bars. You and I watched a show recently in the last week or two called Fellow Travelers.
Which, be warned, there is a lot of sexual activity. It was kind of awkward watching it with my granddad for a sec.
Who?
I mean, Daniel.
Yeah. It was it awkward? It didn't bother me.
No, it wasn't awkward. But for the people that aren't used to a lot of explicit content, just fair warning. There is a lot of very informational, knowledgeable, impactful moments in this series that you should watch as a gay person to learn some of your history, honestly.
It was great for that. Fellow Travelers is an 8-episode, I believe, 8-episode limited series. Ran on Showtime, but we watched it on Paramount Plus.
Yes.
It has 2 different timelines. So its original story is set in the 1950s, and then it fast forwards throughout the show to the 1980s. So kind of the beginning and the ending of these 2 gay men who meet, their story throughout. And a lot of it takes place in the 1950s when being gay was extremely frowned upon. And these 2 gentlemen worked for the government. And at that point in time in our history, there was a big witch hunt it started with communists, but then it kind of dovetailed into
anybody who was different, basically.
Right, especially quote unquote sexual deviants. And part of this series was the people, the LGBTQ community coming together in a gay bar. but it was an underground, secretive gay bar. There was one scene where the younger of the two guys, the stars of the show, went to the gay bar for the first time, and he felt safe there, and he was very lovey-dovey with the guy he was with, and the bartender said, hold on, watch what you're doing, because if this light comes on, which indicated someone was about to come down the stairs, if that light comes on, you have all of 3 seconds to separate. So enjoy yourself, have a drink, but don't lose where you are, because you could find yourself in serious trouble.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to imagine, being at a gay bar and having to have your wits about you the whole time because there could be a police raid at any second. Like, that's just wild.
To go to jail just for being somewhere sounds like a whole nother world.
Right.
But honestly, it was like, what, 70 years ago?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, my dad is 70, so it was within his lifetime that all of this occurred.
There's a lot of what they say in a lot of political courtrooms nowadays, what they've said back in the day.
Yeah.
And it should honestly make us a little worried, and hopefully get more people to register to vote and prevent these things from coming back.
Yeah. We've come so far as a community, and I'm old enough to where I remember where being gay was it was still a very closeted thing, a secretive thing. And I think you're old enough also to where you've seen a change over the last 25 years. But I've seen a drastic change in the 49 years that I've been around. And we are comfortable with where we're at, but there's still a lot of fighting to be done. We can't give up because the other side hasn't given up. They still want to take away rights. We're not trying to take anything from anyone. We just want a seat at the table, as we've said before. And there are people who don't want us sitting at the table. Unfortunately, for the foreseeable future, we're going to have to be very aware of and continue to fight for ourselves and for our community at large.
I totally agree. So we're talking about safe spaces in the gay community.
Yeah.
And safe spaces for anyone, really.
Yeah.
Lesbians, queer people, anybody who identifies in the LGBT community.
Right.
Safe spaces for them. My first one was in Dallas, honestly. When I turned 18, I went with my second oldest sister's best friend and his boyfriend. They took me to my first drag show, which was in Dallas, Texas. I lived at Hillsborough at the time, which was an hour south of Dallas, a little small country town. And they were like, you turned 18. Let's go out. We know where we're going to take you. You're going to go to your first drag show. And at first I was a little nervous. I had so many feelings. I'm like, I've never been to anything like this before, but if this is my culture for being a gay man, I guess, then let's go explore it. But I went to a drag show and I saw Kennedy Davenport and she was there performing. This was 2017, I believe.
Okay.
Or no, 2016. And it was such a good time. I went there the middle of my senior year, and then no one knew about it because obviously I wasn't completely out to everybody. But the people who knew. Did that, and then I went back home and didn't go to another gay club until I moved to Austin.
Oh, wow.
The following year.
Yeah.
In the fall, which was Rain here. And Rain's been around for a while.
Rain's been around for about 20 years because I've lived in Austin for 18 years, and it was a new club when I first moved here. Yeah, which is crazy because it's such a
staple.
A well-established part of Austin gay life. Yeah.
Yeah, I went. I was in college on Thursdays, which they still do have college nights and strip-offs.
Yeah.
So it's 18 and up all the way throughout the night. If you're under 21, they'll give you an X and you're good to go for the rest of the evening. But at midnight, they have a strip off and they always have people signing up and you can win money. And I remember doing that.
You signed up.
I did sign up a long time ago. It's a rite of passage. It is a rite of passage here in Austin, Texas. If you are moving to Austin, Texas at whatever young age, and I was a lot younger and more reckless, and I signed up and did it. Thank God no one took any videos. Because didn't want that
That's
around.
too bad. I have a video of you on your 21st birthday.
Oh, God.
At Highland Lounge, also here in Austin.
Yes.
And you got called up on the stage.
Oh, God.
You were so drunk.
I was so drunk.
And clothes were removed. I don't think willingly,
I
but
wasn't trying to remove the clothes.
Yeah.
The drag queens started removing the clothes off of me, which I was okay. At that point, I Well, I was going there for a bit, even before 21.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, once I got to college, I did get a fake ID, and
Yeah.
I experienced more than I should have.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of character development and growth, and I'm glad that most of those moments have already passed, and I'm not living them right now at this age at 25,
Sure.
which I'm thankful for.
Yeah.
Would I have done it again? I probably would have slowed down a little bit
Mm.
for sure, because going straight into the scene at 18 can be a little overwhelming, and especially not knowing what being gay is besides a feeling
Mm-hmm.
and an attraction. It's a lot to take in. I was even more hypersexual at that age and was thinking that the only way guys would find me attractive is if I was throwing myself on them or drinking a little bit more or getting into those specific things that make people more attracted to you in moments of moments of having fun.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't go out a lot anymore, but I definitely spent my time at the bars here, and I have seen a lot of young guys there at the bars, and I know of a couple who were even younger than 18 who had fakes or were getting in or knew somebody at the door. I don't know. I couldn't imagine myself at 16 or 17 going to a gay bar. I wasn't even there at 18 to 21. It was completely overwhelming. And in fact, the first time I was at a gay bar, I think I was like 24, and there were no gay bars nearby. So as I started coming out and becoming comfortable with who I was and met a few people, and we went to a bar that was between where I lived, which was basically the Florida-Georgia line, and between that and Atlanta. And I remember being so nervous, and I went with this couple, and I was just scared out of my mind. I didn't know what to expect. And, back then, there were no TV shows that showed gay bars, the gay life, the gay scene. And I didn't know what I was getting into.
I'm sure.
And I remember going in.
That sounds even more like nerve-wracking than how I experienced going into it.
And I was so naive and so just not worldly at all. So I didn't know anything about anything. I remember the DJ was playing some Whitney Houston music, which Whitney was and maybe still is one of my favorite artists. And
I think she still is.
Yeah.
You be bumping that.
Yeah. And so that made me feel a little more at home, a little more comfortable. But at that time, I didn't drink either. So it was tough on me. And I'm glad I had a couple of good friends. They were a little older than me to help guide and make me feel safe.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine younger guys going in and just going in full force.
I mean, I started drinking when I was 16. Not like all the time.
Yeah.
But I did do it with my friends in the middle of nowhere in the country while I was in high school. Like living in a small town with no opportunities kind of pushes you in a way sometimes to do things that you shouldn't be doing. And so by the time I was 18, I was like, I'm an adult now.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave this town and go do whatever I want. And at that point, I went to a music festival and I met a bunch of gay friends that I ended up moving to my college town that I went to. And I met one of my friends there. And he's the one who gave me his ID when I got to college. So it was a real ID. It just wasn't me on the picture, which is illegal to say. But it was back in the day. So what's going to happen now is the real question.
Yeah. I think the statute of limitations might be passed. On that, so.
I mean, at least I'm owning up to it. And I was a reckless child at that point. Well, not child. I was of age. But I was a reckless young human at that point.
Right.
Who was just trying to go out and experience life and have fun where he could.
Sure.
In the ways that I probably shouldn't have. Now I have fun in way more different ways that I enjoy.
Yeah, when we're that age, we are a bundle of hormones,
For sure.
and we're just trying to connect with people. And we already feel a little lost being gay, and oftentimes at that age, we don't have other gay friends, and we just yearn to belong.
Yep.
And sometimes we don't know how to do that other than sexually. So,
Or through substance.
yes.
Which is a big common thing in the gay community.
It is.
I feel like all of our, speaking about safe spaces and bars and all that, sometimes that's your first experience as a gay person, and that's where you're being thrown upon. But some of these places have a lot of sexual and drugs and alcohol going around, and it might not lead you in the right path that you need to be in. It might make things worse, especially if you're barely getting into the scene. Like, maybe explore different safe spaces. Maybe nowadays there's so much you can do. Now there's like trivia nights and a bunch of showing viewing parties that are more like for a calmer atmosphere for people. So maybe if you're young and getting into the scene, then start with something like that instead of just going all out and like partying.
Yeah, kids today have a lot more options. Younger people, I should say. Don't go to bars, kids. Younger people have more options today. Gay bars have had quite the evolution. The 1980s was a huge changing time for our community, for the world in general, when sadly so many gay men were dying from AIDS. And that
Which
really
was also touched on in the show. It was very realistic when it comes to the timeline of what it was being a gay or lesbian person in the 50s through the 80s.
Right. Scary. I can't even imagine having lived through that. No. We're very blessed to live in the time that we are now and to be able to be relatively open about who we are. But in the 1980s, San Francisco, of course, was the gay mecca, perhaps in the world. I looked up a statistic earlier that they had about 100 gay bars in the early 1980s. And then the AIDS epidemic hit. And today there's only about 30 gay bars in San Francisco.
From 100 to 30, which I'm sure some of them COVID got to, but that's still a huge chunk to go from where they started in the 80s to today.
And just because so many of our population died at that point. I mean, millions of gay men around the world died in the 80s. So bar owners died, patrons died, and there weren't enough people to populate 100 gay bars in one city.
It's kind of sad to think about, like, a generation from our community is literally, like, very minimal. Very, very minimal. And it makes you think about the future. Why we don't want anything like that to happen again.
Yeah. It's something that I don't know is unprecedented in human history, and hopefully it'll remain that way. But the evolution of gay bars continued from the 80s till today, and of course a big part of that was the advent of the internet and the smartphones that we have and the ability to connect to gay people. So, there's been a lot of conversations over the last few years about the relevance of gay bars. Are gay bars even needed anymore? And it's a really interesting conversation to be had, especially as there are currently about 800 gay bars in the U.S., which sounds like a lot, but when you think about how one city, San Francisco, at one time had 100 on its own, 800 doesn't really sound like that many. So is there not a need for gay-only spaces anymore? Do we feel safe enough now?
I think they're still needed, personally, but I also feel like, well, specifically in Austin, everyone is getting very intertwined with each other, and I feel like it's becoming more fluid within the city. Like, there are a lot of straight people who go to gay clubs, and to the straight people who do go to gay clubs, be respectful of everyone else. This is the queer space. This is the place where we've come to feel comfortable from the judgment that y'all have put onto us most of our lives. So whether it's you're there for the music, whether your girlfriend is taking you there just for a good time, whether you're a group of girls, a bachelorette, if you're going to these spaces, make sure that you're being loving and caring towards everyone, and not too much. Respect people's spaces as well, just because there's been moments where sometimes girlies be looking at us like we're, oh my God, and I'm like, I need some space. Like, girl, I don't know you. Like, hi, how are you? Welcome. What's your name? Let's start there instead of like just touching me or whatever, seeing me as some foreign object.
That's why I should say that straight women have been our biggest allies.
Oh, for sure.
All along. We love our straight female friends, allies, companions. They've been there with us for decades. And for straight women, gay bars may feel like a safe space for them too.
And it is.
They have had to endure straight men hitting on them and just relentlessly, and they just want to go and have fun and have a drink and just dance just like a lot of us want to do
Yeah.
as well. I try to be more tolerant of the straight girls that are there and having a good time. Obviously, they need to be respectful of boundaries and everything as well. But having a couple of straight female friends out is one thing. Bachelorette parties can be another one.
Oh my God. Especially when they're engaging with drag queens.
Right.
I think I feel attacked. They feel more attacked.
The drag queens definitely have to set rules whenever they're doing
yeah.
a Saturday night show.
Yeah.
You
It's
know.
the time they'll call them out.
They-
like,
oh.
hey, y'all right there? We're going to be respectful today, right?
Right. Yeah. They're having a good time. They're celebrating. The drag show is probably their third or fourth stop of the night after
Yes.
they've had a lot of drinks for several hours. But it's not their space. And, we love these women and
Everyone is welcome.
everyone is welcome.
You just have to be welcoming as well.
Yeah, remember it's our space because we did not feel safe, and a lot of people still don't feel safe.
Correct.
So let's just continue to foster that mentality, that attitude of this is a safe space for everybody. Let's make everybody feel welcome here. Sure. And I remember at Rain, probably 10, 12 years ago, there was a bachelorette party there, and it was a Friday or Saturday night. And you know how sometimes they do those scavenger hunt things, and they need to check off whatever on their list.
Yeah.
One of them was to have somebody buy them a drink. And in retrospect, I feel bad, and I should have gone along with it. If it was me now, I would do this. But she came up to me and a group of 3 or 4 friends. She's like, "Hey, I'm with this bachelorette party, and I need somebody to buy me a drink." And my response was, "You're at the wrong bar for this." She sheepishly walked away. If I had to do it over again, I would have bought her a drink. But it was a little invasive and a little blind as to what was going on there.
Gotcha.
Because girls are so beautiful, and they can control the room when they're around a bunch of straight men.
I'm telling you, if I could be straight, I would. Women, men,
Yeah, men are.
in my eyes.
Yeah.
We're capable of being at the same level, but until we start treating them like we're at the same
Yeah.
level, then
I mean, we've said it before. Let women rule the world. Let them make
sure.
all the rules, handle all the decisions. I'm on board with it 100%. But yeah, women are used to being fawned over a little bit, and it wasn't going to happen at a gay
Yeah.
bar. So it was a funny experience.
see none of the like magic work.
yeah.
She's trying to pull moves.
they're
to, like,
normal
Who's
tricks.
gonna give me this drink?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not working here, baby girl.
Y'all should have thought about that scavenger hunt a little more.
Yeah.
No, but I think for the most part, with the proliferation of drag and RuPaul's Drag Race being a huge thing, I think more straight women are understanding the boundaries and everything. So I think we're progressing.
We are
along
with
those
having a
lines.
more like actual universal, all are welcome
Right.
type of
Right.
safe spaces.
Yeah. So here's the one that throws me for a little bit of a loop. It's when the straight couple goes to the gay bar. So the man and the woman, I guess I should put it in quotes, straight, and they're on the prowl to take home a gay boy with them. Have you been on the receiving end of this?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't reeled it in and
Sure.
have not been catched in these
Yeah,
situations.
but the hook was dangling.
They've definitely been like, hey.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still a short guy, but back in the day, about 3-4 years ago, when I was a lot smaller, the girls would enjoy me because I was a pretty boy, but the
course.
guys would also like me because I wasn't that far from
You
the
were
silhouette
a
of
pretty boy.
There we go.
Yeah.
I was definitely getting offers.
Yeah.
At least what I felt was offers.
I'm sure
And
they
like,
were.
Are they flirting with you? But then they'd be like, "Oh, this is my wife," and I'm like, "Whoa, what's?"
Yeah.
I thought you were gay. I thought you were honestly hitting on me. No. This is my wife, and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
that's cool. I'm not gonna make any moves.
It's interesting the growth in the bi community, and I would assume that the guy in this story, in this circumstance, was bi.
I'm sure.
But it feels like the people who go to gay bars, the single guys that are there, are usually leaning more on the gay side than the bisexual side. So I don't know how often that these straight couples find somebody to hook up with. But I always find it really fascinating when you see the straight couples there.
Yeah. I feel like once the people realize that the world and nature is fluid, everything will be a lot less serious,
Yeah.
and a lot more open to anything and different perspective. And you won't be judging on things that you aren't familiar with if you're just accepting of what is love and what that person is looking for.
Yeah.
It's the same as how we love. It's the same as how everyone else loves. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
So I hope the world gets to that place, in my opinion. What we do need to see more, though, is I feel like there needs to be more safe spaces for lesbians. I feel like we rarely see any lesbian clubs. Like, I feel like a lot of lesbians either will go to gay bars here in Austin, 4th Street, obviously, or they'll go to a queer venue like Cheer Up Charlie's, where there's more diverse group of people in regards to what they're looking for in orientation.
For sure.
And there just needs to be more specifically for the girlies.
Yeah. As I was doing some research for this topic today, I was looking at what the lesbian bar numbers were, and they're abysmal throughout the U.S. 800 gay bars, but there's just a handful of lesbian bars. So
you know what? Now that I think about it, the lesbians are probably like, babe, we don't need to go to bars. We've already met each other and have moved in together. Like, what do we need to go out for?
Well, I do think this is a great question for the lesbians. Like, why aren't there lesbian bars? Is it that mentality? Like,
maybe they're more serious, where it's like, I mean, if you think about it, people usually go to bars to most of the time meet people or have a good time for social interaction.
Yeah.
If a group of our community is more serious, would these spaces be less filled? Would there be more spaces for everyone else? Or would it just be one of those things where it's like, if we're already good, do we need more? I mean, I'm still down to have more lesbian places, but is there that shift because women do take relationships more seriously, that there is less outings of them in regards to looking for someone?
Yeah. I don't know if we have a lesbian following or not, but I'd love to hear some lesbian commentary on this as to why there isn't. Because I actually was at City Hall for an event, a Pride-related event back in June, and there were 2 lesbian judges, Travis County judges, that were in attendance. Nice. And one came up to me and knew that I did some marketing work for the gay bars here. And she's like, why don't we have lesbian bars? And we had this conversation, and I wish I would have had the foresight to ask her, like, why are there not lesbian bars? But there is some interest out there. Maybe not enough, because we know the lesbian population is just as large, if not larger, than the gay male population. So they're probably just doing it right. They're just doing it better than we are. So,
as they should.
They're good. They're good. But it does call into the question of specialized gay bars. I was thinking about this earlier because Rain is a very general bar. Oil Cans has shifted into being more of a drag performance bar.
Wasn't it the daddy pickup spot?
It was
Not
little.
that I would go there, but I would definitely, back in the day, at least 7 years ago, you would see more of the older crowd going into that bar.
It was, yeah, for sure. It definitely appealed to an older crowd, and then a younger crowd interested in the older crowd. But we do have bars here like the Iron Bear, which is obviously more of a bear bar. Yeah. And maybe that's where the daddies go these days. I'm not sure. And then you've got a leather bar, the Eagle. So there are a lot of different types of gay bars. I think that's where gay bars can really shine, is when they specialize and meet a need that just your standard gay bar isn't meeting. I was in Mexico City several years ago. The first time I was there, I was walking around with a couple of friends. None of us had ever been there before. And we saw a bar and pride flags in the window. So we got in line and we went inside, and we saw the name on the inside, and it was called Baby. And I thought, oh, like a term of endearment, baby. Oh, baby. And then
I know what baby means.
And, well, I thought I did too, until I saw all the baby faces in the bar. This was like an 18-year-old bar because it was right across the street from the university.
That's why it was called Baby.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I'm thinking more in the words of like, hey, baby boy.
Yeah.
But no, you're talking about like 18-year-olds.
Hey, baby.
Gotcha.
Boy.
Gotcha.
Yes. It was pretty obvious we were from the U.S. And all of a sudden we had a swarm of people coming up to talk to us. and we didn't even finish our beers. We had to get out of there because it was such a specialized place that was meeting a need. It was a place where people from the university who were of that age could come and congregate.
So y'all walked in and they were like, Papa.
Yeah, probably. They probably were. So we couldn't get out of there fast enough, honestly.
Yeah.
But I don't think gay bars are going anywhere anytime soon because they can do the specialized. We still want a place to congregate. We still want to go have a good time. So
Yeah. The only thing that I would like, I love the idea of having safe spaces for places, but I feel like they just need to feel more acceptable and universal for everybody, because you might be on a certain wavelength, but that doesn't mean the person standing next to you is comfortable with that boundary or that energy that you're bringing as well. So maybe just be more focused on the people around you in these safe spaces. Trust me, back in the day, I know that I would take off my shirt and get a little frisky with some men.
Yeah.
But now that's not my energy or my feel constantly. It's a hard thing to break sometimes, especially when you're trying to fit in.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I went out for a night to celebrate a friend's birthday. And the boys around me were all taking their shirts off and getting in that mood and all that. And I'm like, this isn't me anymore. This isn't me anymore. Like, I'm still here to dance. But, like, I felt like I needed to take my shirt off just to feel like I was in.
Right.
And that moment where I took my shirt off, I had it off for a little bit. And I really took it off because it was hot. Like, it was hot in there. And obviously, I'm going to take my shirt off. But then when you do that, the people around you think that you're also on that flow too. And that's when I started to feel like a little even more uncomfortable. And I was like, okay, this I didn't take my shirt off because of this energy. I just took it off because it was hot in this venue.
Right.
At this point, if this isn't the vibe that I'm doing, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
So I did end up putting my shirt on and leaving a little bit after that. But it's hard to break these things of wanting to fit in to what, quote unquote, our culture is at times.
Yeah. I remember being the twinkiest of twinks around your age, 25, 26, at a gay bar in Atlanta. I don't remember where the person who I'd gone there with went to, but I was alone kind of on the dance floor. I'm not a dancer, but I was trying to feel the moment, and I just wanted somebody to be around me. And the lights went dim for a second, and I took my shirt off, and all of a sudden, like 3 guys were there. And I was like, well, mission accomplished, but now what do I do with this? Like, I didn't want to feel alone. And I think that
now you weren't.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's an interesting feeling to, like, go to somewhere wanting to fit in and then having to do things that you might not normally feel comfortable doing just to fit in.
Right.
And I feel like we need to break that down as a community.
I think we're better. And
it has gotten better.
You know,
for sure.
I have a lot of history to be able to look back on it. I remember walking through oil cans 15 years ago, and you couldn't walk more than 2 steps and somebody was grabbing your ass. Maybe I'm past the point of having my ass grabbed, but I do think it's a lot better. I think people are understanding that that's your body. Like, I shouldn't be laying hands on you. So we have progressed, and hopefully our community continues to progress, because the gay bars are important to our history and I think to our future as well.
Yeah, I agree. Well, in this conversation, we recap some of the Olympics, which congratulations to everybody and every athlete that's out there doing their thing, specifically because it is a hard thing to do, to push yourself physically, mentally, and publicly with other people's opinions coming at you for whatever reason.
Win or lose, they are the best in the world.
Yeah. And the people putting criticism to the people that don't even know what it's like to be an athlete, keep your 2 cents to yourself. JD Vance. Sorry. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah.
We also talked about safe spaces in the gay community and in queer culture and how it's progressed over the time and what we're probably looking for as in today's day. Oh, and then the conversation about the comment that we had as well. Yeah. So if you're going to love somebody, be all in. And if it doesn't work out, be kind to that person as well. If y'all were one at one point and now you're splitting up to be 2 separate people, at least be considerate of that time when y'all were one, and hopefully share some of that love that you had. So we love you, viewers, listeners, audience. And if you need anything, we got you.
We're here. Absolutely. Every week.
The best we can.
Yep. Well, thank you, Julio. Thank you, audience. And we'll see you next week.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.